All right, here we go. Let's get everything going. Um, yeah, I think we're set up. First thing first. Oh, looks like first we're gonna update warp, and then we'll get started. Ah, so I've discovered. Oh, nope. Cancel all this. No, don't elevate. Oh, I was trying to refresh and wound up. Okay, so let's uncheck all of this. What I wanted to, it looks like Warp's update isn't available yet in WinGet. So I think what I have to do is wait for the PowerShell to start up, and then we'll be okay. Okay, so let's see. All right, let's try this. One last thing to try. Let's see if it shows me the. Ah, okay. Time to give up. I don't want to waste time on this. I'll get it figured out after the stream. The last time I ran this, everything seemed to be working pretty well. Um, so I don't know. Whatever. Okay. So first thing first. Um, where do we want to start? Uh, One thing I want to do is I want to get the README file updated. I mean, this was a good suggestion by one of our regular viewers. He messaged me last night and he was trying out the repo just to make sure everything worked. And he was like, "Hey, we need to update the README." It was definitely something that we were going to do, but let's start there, right? So this is our task, README. Um, because we want to get this into a place where when we create our workshop, everything's kind of in a good spot. Not kind of. It needs to be in a good spot, right? We want our workshop to be good for people who are using it. Let's go here. And the other thing we can do is let's go npm. Actually, I want to see. Let's just see what. Oh, oh, this is the right one. Oh no, I'm not there. Started me in my home directory. Okay, so Daisy has an upgrade. And of course, Tailwind does. We're not going to worry about those. Those are styling upgrades. Actually, there is one thing. Format group target newest. Let's just see if there are any Angular releases today. And actually, let's go here and look for some help on target. Minor, patch, semver, and tags. I think we can do at next also. Target value. Try it without the at. Maybe we need quotes around it. Yeah. Okay, so Angular NX has a beta going on, but it looks like we don't have a new RC of Angular. I think we can use RC, right? That should give us the latest RC tag. Yeah. Okay. So we're good with that. So let's npx nx serve. Because we're going to use some of our images as part of our template, right? Let's close all of this. Let's grab our readme.md. Right now, it's pretty terrible. So first thing we can do is we can just say, hey, this is our Star Wars mercenary and not market, but this is workshop, right? And let's get rid of this stuff. So right off the bat, and one thing we can do is we can split this side by side. We can see as we're working what things are going to look like. So if I were to add this introduction, you'll see it's going to make it smaller. But so this repo represents what do we want to say? It represents or this repo is for the Star Wars Mercenary Workshop project to create a new Star Wars. No, what the heck? Fantasy Flight game, Star Wars art. What the heck? A project to demonstrate how to use resources to build Angular applications. So there we go. Yeah, we need a getting started section for sure. So we can say to view the completed project, you can clone the repository or let's say the main branch of the repository on GitHub. And so now we just want to give the command that will do this. Um, let's go grab our GitHub repository and grab the clone, right? Um, actually, while we're here, let's grab this as a demo image. Um, and so what we want to do is save this. And this needs to go in our dev. Um, here, and let's add a new folder, and we'll just call this the README folder. Um, yeah, ping files just fine. So just call this our app screenshot. So let's go ahead and also add that here. And I think if I'm correct, should be able to go dev and here. And if we go into our README file and we just grab this and drop it here, yeah, sweet. So there we go. Right. So we've got, a preview of the image, and now that we've got this in place, now we can show people, hey, how do you clone this, right? Um, let's go ahead and make this a bash prompt because GitHub will understand that. And then go to our GitHub repo. Is this the one? No. Tailwind. Um, there we go. So here's the repo. I have 7 branches here. It must have just been cached data. So we'll just go to the main branch. And we will just clone it, right? So to do this, we can just do a git clone, right? So git clone, boom. So that will clone our repo and allow you to get the completed project, right? And this is kind of as far as we want to get. Hey, I want to be a developer. Welcome to the stream, man. We're just setting up our workshop today. Um, so there we go. We've now added our README file in. Um, right. So the next thing we want to do is just set up the workshop. Workshop. Right. And I guess one of the things we can say is this project was created using the we can say NX CLI, right? There we go. And we can say Angular here. We didn't use the Angular CLI, so we don't need to go to CLI here. And angular.io is wrong. It's angular.dev. To run the project, you'll need to have Node.js installed. Download Node.js from the great. That all works. And then what does this say? After cloning the repository, navigate to the project dependencies and install the dependencies. Great. Here we're just going to say we can just say npm install, right? Install the dependencies using npm. So there you go. So npm install, and then we can say you can run the project using the following command. Perfect. And again, the command we're going to use is npx nx serve. There we go. So we've now got some information on getting started. We've got commands that you can run. Right, we've got information about the CLI and Angular and where you can download Node. Right, we're telling people how they can install it. We're basically giving people an easy experience if they just want to come in and run this, right? I have been banged for those working a bit, playing some games, and this morning I had this incredible idea. Well, just do React and Java for my career and call it a day. Dude, you've been trying to pick what stack you want to do for a while. Really looks like trying to swim against the flow if I do anything else, at least in Europe. If anything bad happens, at least I can go anywhere with React and Java. And that's a very valid way to look at it. Um, it right, like things can be there's a lot of what do I want to say? There's like a lot of just safety is a good way to put it in um, in picking what's most popular, right? Because people are always going to be hiring for that. So absolutely, totally agree with what you said. Um, yeah. So let's get this committed and pushed. Um, so we need to stage both of these, and then we're going to push this. So we um, made the README um, usable, right? Um, and so we'll go ahead and push this. That took a while, but anyway, we're pushing, and I want to merge this immediately onto main. So we're going to go over to GitHub where I am signed in. Grab here. So here we are. I'm signed in. This picture is really, really old. This is when these were from the engagement pictures from my wife. I'm not even sure where I put this picture. I'm sure it's on Gravatar or something. I've just never changed it, and it cracks me up whenever it shows up. Um, let's go into my repositories, look at my resource workshop. And we're just gonna merge this right away. So you guys will see I've created a workflow where nobody can merge straight into the main branch. Um, so to merge into main, am I not signed in? I am signed in. I don't want an auto merge. I want to just merge. It's telling me that a review is required here. Um, there we go. So I just needed to wait for it. So I always set my stuff up so that nobody can merge into main. But on my repos for streams, um, I like to have reviews, but since nobody's reviewing my code, we just YOLO it. Everything I do is perfect. You guys know that I write perfect code. And part of writing perfect code is the fact that I can just merge. How hard is Java? I'll I'll be honest with you, man. Java is one of my least favorite languages. Um, whoop, that was not what I wanted to do. I wanted to move this one. Um, I'm not. We'll leave this one over here. I'm not a big fan of Java. Um, and like a lot of people like Java. Java just feels a little bit behind and a little bit backwards to me. Um, and I know that's going to be a controversial opinion. Um, yeah, see, we both write perfect code. That's why we're here, like minds, right? Um, so anyway, um, now that we've merged that, when we go to the main page, we should, yeah, there we go. Now we've got a better README, right? So people can actually use this. Um, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be updating this workshop stuff here while we work on the workshop itself. And this is why we're going to be using work trees today. Um, so let's go ahead and do a get work tree, right? Um, so um, if you guys have, hey, bonus stream, woo, I gotta work, but I saw this in my notification. Excited for the workshop tonight. I'm excited too. We're um, we're getting close. And I hate this button because I wish I could click it. And I want so badly to click it. I'm gonna figure it out after the stream. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the workshop tonight. I was talking to Brooke last night. I need to get my workshop content down to around an hour. So that's what we're shooting for. We're shooting for an hour's worth of content. Um, so we're going to be butchering our code and then slowly bringing it back, right? Um, so what we want to do is we want to do a get, and work trees are really cool because you can do like a work tree list, right? And I only have one work tree for this repository, and it's my current work tree that's on the task readme branch, right? Um, but we can create a new work tree. And the reason we want to do this is very important. Um, we're going to be butchering this repository. Um, and in doing so, um, we want to do this on a branch, but we also want the old code easily available. So I'm going to have two editors open, one editor with the full code and another editor without the full code, right? And we're going to make things work even though they don't work, um, which is kind of a funny thing to say, but um, let's uh let's get started with that, right? So we're gonna get a get work tree. We're gonna create one. Um, and The next thing we need to do with the work tree is tell it where to go. So we're going to go back a directory and we're going to say, hey, we want to create one and we're going to call this the meetup workshop. So that's where our work tree is going to go. And then we're going to tell it, hey, we also want it to be on our branch. And we're going to call this branch workshop, right? So people who are on the workshop branch can check it out, and we're going to add tags along the workshop. So there we go. It's add, get work tree add. I messed it up. It's been a while since I've done a work tree. So it's a get work tree add. We're going to add that directory, and the branch is going to be workshop. So there we go. And it's super fast. So like a lot of people will be like, well, why don't you just check out the code in a different directory? Well, this is a lot faster, and there are other benefits, right? When you're using Worktree, it uses symlinks, and so until you change files, um, it points to the same file system. And there's a lot of other good benefits to that also, but those are the two big ones that I really like. So if we look, we can see that we're on the workshop, and if we do a get work tree list, we can see now I've got two work trees. Um, and there are other benefits to this, right? So if I do an npx nx serve, it's going to complain, um, right? And no, um, we don't have our npm stuff done, right? So we need to npm install, and we need our legacy peer deps. And this is what Michael pointed out last night. And I need to update the README. So npm install dash dash legacy peer deps. And I want to add, we are using a version of Angular that is not part of the peer dependencies for our NX CLI. So we need to use legacy peer deps to install the dependencies. That's fine. We are using, and instead of this, we're using version 19.2 of Angular for our NX CLI, right? So we definitely want to make sure that we commit this. And added information about legacy peer apps, right? And let's go ahead and stage that. So there we go. So now we can push that. And you'll notice that we've got the main branch, we got the README branch, we've also got the workshop branch. And our workshop branch, this is the branch that this is the branch that's on our work tree. So we can see it's a work tree right here. So we'll be able to make commits from our work tree from inside of here, which will be nice. So let's go back to our work tree. And we're still waiting for that to update. So in our workshop, we're going to break it apart into steps, right? Um, so step one, um, clone the workshop project, right? Um, and again, you need to clone the workshop. You'll need to clone the, um, we'll call it the step one tag of the workshop branch, right? Um, let's see if it can't figure it out. So this will be a get clone, and we'll get that once we've got the tag and everything going. Um, so, but again, we want this open because the README, we're going to have them access it from the website. So it will always be available. But the code, they can follow these commands, right? And then we'll run through these and just see if everything goes as goes according to plan. One of the things um, we'll add here again, we're going to add this same section. Um, and I think, if I remember correctly, let's take a look at GitHub Markdown. There's a way to add GitHub flavored Markdown. So we can do tables. So let's take a look at the GitHub tabs, precedents, container blocks, and leaf blocks. So there's thematic breaks. You know, we can do horizontal rules. Spaces are allowed at the end. So container blocks, thematic breaks, set text headings, indented, fenced code blocks, paragraphs, table extensions, block quotes. The block quotes are nice, but I'd like an info. Let's take the writing and formatting. So we've got headings, styling text, bold, italic, strike through, fine, quoting text, code. Section links. Line breaks, images, lists, referencing issues, assets, paragraphs. So footnotes, nope. Advanced formatting. What kind of advanced? The tables, collapsed sections, creating diagrams, mathematical, auto-linked references, attaching files. All right. So GitHub markdown note. It looks like they don't exist. Some markdown languages do. Um, note, tip, important warning, caution. Let's try this. Let's just try, if I do a note here, um, nothing. So it doesn't understand the note markdown. Um, oh, so I'm missing the block. Um, so if I do that, does it change things? No. Maybe note needs to be in all caps? No. Ah, maybe it doesn't understand it here. I don't know. Let's try saving this, right? Um, and let's make sure that we're doing this right. So if we go back up to the top, the syntax is, the block quote with the note and then another block quote. So we'll follow the same example, just to make sure we do everything right. So block quote, note, block quote. There we go. And notes in all caps. So let's go ahead and let's do the same thing up above also. So here we'll do the same thing. And then we'll go ahead and push this. Testing. notes on GitHub, right? Um, Sometimes we're just going to have to test it. So go ahead and push that. And we don't have to merge this to see it. We can actually go to GitHub. Let's go to our GitHub here and let's swap over to our README branch. And if we look, oh, yes, we did. Sweet, that works. So there we go. Oh man, you tried so hard, Ethic Gum. Uh, well, I mispronounced your name. I'm sorry about that, but you still got yourself a ban. Um, but yeah, there we go. So we are getting the note stuff, which is cool. This is things that I really like when you're working with repositories, right? Like the ability to clone, the fact that we can provide these easy links based on our markdown. So GitHub has really, made this very easy for us, right? And this note, is going to stand out. Hopefully people, read it. Um, but we're in a good place. I'm very happy about that. So let's go back to here. Um, yeah. And let's see. How do I want to do this? Can I do it this way? Can I just do WebStorm dot? Will it do that? In a new window. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. So now we're on our branch, and we have some stuff in place. Um, so the question becomes, right? Like, what do we want to do at this point? Um, and this is where we're going to butcher our application. Um, so we're going to leave our components in place. That's the framework of our application. But we are going to actually, we're just going to remove all of this. Um, so we're going to remove all of this stuff. So goodbye. Yeah, we're going to delete anyway. So all of our services are gone. So all of our resources are completely removed from the project. Um, so at this point, our project is so broken that it won't run. We need to get it running without um, without those services in place, right? So, um, and that's going to be our step one tag. So it's going to start trying to build stuff, and it's going to be like, oh, right, you messed up, dude. So let's start cleaning this stuff up. So the Merc list is completely broken. Let's go into our Merc list, and we will fix our Merc list, right? Um, so our team resource doesn't exist. If our team resource doesn't exist, then the Mercs resource doesn't exist. Um, and our total cost doesn't exist, right? So for right now, our total cost is, well, for right now, it's just going to be a signal, and it's going to be a 0, right? Um, so there we go. Let's import our signal. And we're going to remove the team and the Mercs resource because we don't know about them at this point, right? Handle delete Merc. Well, this is just going to console.log, deleting merc with ID, and hire mercs is just going to console.log hiring mercs, right? So there we go. This one should be, oh, mercs resource dot value. But we don't know anything about the mercs resource. So we're going to go back to what we had before. We're just going to say, hey, this is mercs, right? Or merc of mercs. And here we're just going to add a protected read only mercs. Yeah, no, we aren't going to inject person. Thanks for trying. We tried. It's going to be a signal person that, right? We need to bring this in, and there we go, right? So now our mercs, because we made it a signal, we need to make sure that we read it as a signal. And there we go. We can take inject out. You know what? I'm going to leave it because we're going to be going back to this file, right? So that fixes this file. But now we've got a whole bunch of other stuff to fix, right? So we've still got Merc choice component that we need to fix up. Is the Merc card, is it broken? No, the Merc card is just a pure dumb Angular component that just has an input and an output. So we're good there. Our Merc choice was the next one that was broken. So let's take a look at our Merc choice component. And it's using a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to take out because they don't exist. Boom. So there we go. And that's going to break a bunch of stuff. So we don't know any of this stuff. We don't know the person resource. The current merc, we're going to change this to just be, this will be signal that returns an empty person. There's our current merc. We're going to leave the after next render in place. And here for next merc, we're just going to console log again. Right, and for higher merc, we're just going to console.log higher merc, and then that's going to call next merc, right? So this all works still, but we've broken the merc choice component is the last one that's broken. And once we fix merc's choice component, wait, didn't we just fix that one up? What is it saying? 17. Oh, it's in the person resource dot is loading. We're going to take this out. So there we go. That should fix up. Oh, that fixed everything? Really? Is the Merc details? Yeah, it's just another dumb component. Okay. So now everything's running and we should be able to go back to our application here. Um, yeah, there we go. Right. So about tree fitting. I forgot we put that in there. Oh, that cracks me up. Um, right, and the hair color is hot pink, the eye color celestial green. And they're born in 0 BBY, and their gender is fluid. Um, that should be fine. Um, but yeah, we've now got an application that really does nothing, right? So we're in a position to they can check this out. There are no errors in the console, right? So if we refresh, we should see no errors down here. We see next Merc, right? And when we click this, we see, hey, you hired a Merc, and right, but really nothing is happening. Um, so we're in a good place. Um, so this is our starting point. So the first thing we can do is we can go here to our workshop. And you know what? Let's do this instead. Let's go here. Let's browse for a repo. And let's go up here and let's grab our workshop. Where is that folder? I called it meetup workshop, not just workshop. There it is right there. Um, so this is our repo. And notice that it's showing us that it's a work tree. That's great. So here on our workshop branch, we can do a couple of things, right? First of all, we deleted a whole bunch of stuff. So let's go ahead and commit this and just say, hey, we removed services. Great, they're all gone. And then here we can say that, hey, we fixed application to work without services, right? So we fixed app to work without services, right? And this is a good starting point. So what we can do is we can go ahead and we can tag this. We're going to create a tag. And the tag we're going to create is workshop step 1, right? And now we're going to push all of this up. We've now pushed all of that to GitHub. And we can close this down. And now we can go back to our browser, go to our GitHub repo. And we can swap over to let's go back to the code. Let's go to branches. And let's go to our workshop branch. And let's look at the tags here. Did my branch not, did I? So we've got the workshop stuff there, right? So like if we go take a look at our branches, um, there's our workshop branch. And if we look at our branch, you can see we're 2 commits ahead of main. So, right, we can see that we did pull the, yeah, we pulled all the services out. So we're in a good place. Probably need to push this tag. Yeah, I do. So now that that's been pushed, I should be able to go back to my code. And we do have a tag. Workshop step 1. Um, is this going to be confusing using tags? Probably. So probably what we should do um, instead of using tags, let's go back to our code. Let's go back to this tag. Um, we'll use branches. Um, so this is our workshop branch. Clone it. You just use this. So we'll go back to our README. And we'll clone it here. That is not the branch. Trying to decide how I want to do this because I want to make it easy for people. So this is the repo here. Um, go back to the main branch. Look at my branches, and here you can copy the branch name. So get this started, right? So git clone. We'll paste that. I don't want that one. I want grab this. Okay. We've got that workshop, and then I think we can do a dash B. No. Instead of pointing to the newly created head, to the branch pointed to the cloned repository's head. No. Oh, this is the one problem with using like GUIs all the time is git check out branch command. I always forget the checkouts, right? So git clone. Oh, it is just the dash B. Git branch, git clone, local repo, new repo. So yeah. Hey, Ole, good to see you, man. What am I using for slides? I haven't even started on slides. I'll probably use just like one of the free slide things online. If I get around to doing slides, I might just we might just be doing some live demos and talking about stuff there. Um, okay, so it's branch, and then I need to do dash dash single branch, and that should just clone. But it looks like I don't even need the single branch. Yeah, I don't want just down. We want the, so it looks like just the branch name should be fine. Um, so we should be able to do git clone this, and we can do dash dash branch, and we can do workshop, right? Um, and that will get us the entire repo with the workshop branch checked out. We're going to check this out ourselves. So let's go do that. So let's go up a directory. And let's go git clone this. We'll just do dash dash branch workshop. Let's see where we wind up. It doesn't like it. Too many arguments. Oh, git clone, git clone. Yeah, that doesn't work. Let's try again. So there we go. It put it into resource workshop. So let's go take a look at resource workshop. And yes, we are on the workshop branch. So that works. So we'll clean this up later. Well, actually, it's pretty easy to clean this up. So Go ahead and delete that. So there we go. We've now cleaned up our workshop. So we've got the stuff in with legacy peer deps, and now we can say run the once the dependencies are installed, you can run the project using the following command. Perfect. npx nx serve. Great. And there we go. So, I mean, there's a bit of duplication between step one and this, but the biggest difference is that here you're using main, down here we're using the workshop, right? Um, so now we can say something like you will note that the buttons and project are in a default state and don't do anything. There we go. So next up is step two, right? Step two is we're going to add a resource to get people from the Star Wars API. So we need a couple of things here. Let's go ahead and commit this. So here, we are going to add that we, right, with our README, we finished step one. And added step two, right? So step two, what we want to do is we just want to add the resource in that will load, and I'm going to get rid of TypeScript here because I always click on that. So we're going to add in the resource that will load, the first mercenary. So we'll talk about that. But to get that to work, I don't want people to have to worry about the Star Wars API. So let's go take a look at our code here. And let's take a look at this service. We're going to include the swappy service with the get person in it. Yeah, we're going to include this service. Let's go ahead and copy this file. And we will move that over to our other file. So here in our services, we're just going to paste that file that we just copied. Yep, there we go. And so now we've got our swappy service in place. What we don't want is this code or this code in place, right? So we want to provide a way and all of that's fine. Those like these errors are ES linked errors. They aren't what do we want to call it? Um, they aren't TypeScript errors, so they aren't going to prevent our stuff from working, right? Um, so what we can say in our README um, is we can say that in the services directory, there is and the name of the file is the swappyservice.ts. Um, there's a file called swappy.service.ts. Um, this file contains service a server. This file contains a method that fetches people from the Star Wars API, and actually it's a function because functions return things, methods don't. We will use this function to get people from the API, right? Um, so our function, if we look at it, is just a classic HTTP client, but we want to wrap it with a resource. And the reason we want to wrap it with a resource is because there are um, error handling and other things like loading and stuff like that, right? So we want to write that into our things, right? Um, the function uses a classic, and here we can say HTTP client, and let's get a link to that on angular.dev, right? Um, so let's go to angular.dev. Where is my Angular primitives, resource? Well, we've already got resource up. So we're gonna want that. Let's add, let's get a new one here and let's find HTTP client. Um, so here we go. Oh, provide that link here. Uses a class HTTP client, and this is how you do links in Markdown. So you can see that it uses uses the HTTP client class from Angular, and I'm making this long on purpose because longer links are easier to click on with like touch devices and things like that. And so, good UI design says that, take more than you think you should. Um, so the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to say, um, unfortunately, um, HTTP client doesn't provide an doesn't provide And I'm curious if I put this in. Ooh, that doesn't look good. We'll leave it, right? Um, HTTP client doesn't provide a good loading experience, and it doesn't provide um, well, a good loading experience um, or a great error handling um, solution. Um, Typically, you have to write boilerplate for loading and error experiences, right? We're going to say, yeah, to solve this problem, we will use um, the new resource from Angular 19.2, right? And we need to provide a link to that. So there it is. So we can grab our link. We already have that in this tab right here. So let's go ahead and grab that. Um, right. And now we can talk about the resource itself, right? Because the resource allows us to use some options and create, you know, default values and things like that. Um, so let's add that um, into our code, right? The resource allows us to wrap promises um, and observables in a way that makes loading and errors easy, requiring no boilerplate. Um, and now we can say, um, yeah, to get started, we will create a new resource called people resource. No, 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 no. Get started, we will create a new resource um, and return it from the, and here we can say, um, we can say people resource or RX people resource. Um, and maybe we'll have them do both, right? From the people resource, um, from the people resource function and from the RX people resource um, function, right? And the reason we'll do this is because we want to teach people both ways, right? And so here we can say, you know, so we can say to create a resource from a promise, we can use the resource method. We can use resource from Angular 19.2. An example is as follows, right? And here we can go and grab from our swappy service this. So here's our example. There we go. We can say you will notice that there are a few. And one other thing we can add to this is our default value. And I believe default value can just be empty person, right? And now our person resource no longer returns string or person. So we're going to do that. Let's replace this with that. You can go with this or you can go with that. So there we go. We've got our loader. So there's our resource. There are a few options that we pass to the resource. And our first option that we passed is request. And request is an object. Request a function that returns an object map with parameters used by the loader function or parameters passed to the loader function as request. If you use signals in your map, the resource can respond to changes and automatically reload. So there's our request object, right? The next is our loader. And you know, the other thing we're going to do is we're going to add required, right? And we're going to do the same here to show that this is a required field. And we'll read through that, but a required function. We're going to call this a required function, right? And then the loader is a required function that returns a promise. Right? It has to return a promise. Um, this is the function that will be called when the resource is loaded. Exactly. So in a resource, this one returns a promise, right? In an Rx resource, it doesn't. And then the last thing is default value, and that's optional. An optional function, um, well, it's an optional um, default value for the resource. This is useful when you want to return a default value while the resource is loading. This is useful um, when you um, don't want your resource to potentially return undefined, right? Because we don't want our resources to potentially return undefined. And so there we go. We've added this, right? Um, the other one is to create a resource from an observable. We can use Rx resource. An example is as follows, right? Let's go back to our swappy service. And again, here we're going to add in a default value of empty person. And there we go. Let's paste this in and clean it up. So there's our Rx resource, our request, our loader, and our default value. And again, we can copy most of this. We're gonna that we pass to the Rx resource, right? Again, request a function that returns an object map with parameters passed to the loader function as request. Again, if you use signals, and one thing we can do is we can go grab a link to signals, right? So we go here and grab a signal. Whoops, that was not Control K, signal. There we go. Let's grab that reference. And we will use it here. If you use signals in your map, and we'll do the same thing down here. Right, and then this is just a required function, right? The loader is a required function also that returns an observable, right? An observable. This is the function that will be called when the resource is loaded. And then default value, of course, we've got that in there. So here we're going to say, hey, here's your task, right? One. The first part of the task is to create the resource and Rx resource in swappyservice.ts and return them. Yep. So there we go. Step 2. Use either the resource or Rx resource, right? Or Rx resource in the, and here we want to take a look and make sure that we grab the right component, right? So the Merc choice component is the one we want, right? Um, in the Merc choice component, to show a loading, right? To give a loading experience, but also to provide the current mercenary, right? Um, so we're going to go back to live. So use either the resource or the RX resource in the Merc choice component .ts to display a person from the Swappy API, or from Swappy, right? From um, from the Star Wars API, right? And here we can also say um, do here we can say, hey, you know, bonus, right? Use the resource of your choice to display a loading experience, right? So there we go. So our first task is just to create the resources. We've basically given you the answers here and here, but then we want you to be able to use it. And this is where we're going to provide a hint, right? So the hint is, yeah, you can use the is loading property um, from the resource to display a loading experience. Um, um, and you can also use the value, um, and we're going to call these signals because they are signals, give people a hint, right? Value signal from the resource to display the person from the Star Wars API, right? So there we go. We've now created step one, or this is step two, right? Step one is to set things up. Step two is to do this. And so there we go. We've now created this. Let's now get our Star Wars service the way we wanted it to be, right? Um, so the first thing we can do is we can just go here. We can grab our service again. Let's copy it. Um, and go back to our here, and we're just going to paste it over, right? So that not work? It didn't work. Why doesn't that work? Why can't I copy and paste that? So there is my Swappy service. Let's copy it. Go here and let's paste it. There we go. So, yep, let's overwrite it. Yep, there we go. We can cancel that. Um, oh, did I? Oh, did I? Dang it. Um, we needed to. Let's take this back. Yes, undo that. Cancel. Um, so here's our swappy service. And this is the way it was. This is how we want to commit it. So let's go back and commit this first, right? So here, we want to, we added swappy service dot yes without resource implementations, right? So let's paste that. We're going to push that. And now at this point, we want to branch again. And this is, I mean, our work trees are very nice here because they're giving us nice ability to create these branches and work in a way. And we can easily clean this up later. So we're going to branch again. And this is now going to be workshop step 2, right? So workshop step 1 has all the stuff we need, and it's all set up, right? And if we take a look with our workshop step 1, we're still in a working state, right? We can see that we still aren't broken here. So the next thing to do is to go to workshop step 2. Workshop step 2 is to put this file back, right? So let's go ahead and paste this again. Okay, thank you. I don't need that. We're going to overwrite this again. And now we've got the completed swappy service in place, right? So let's go ahead and commit that. So here at workshop step 2, we have added completed swappy service.ts, right? So let's go ahead and stage that and commit that. The other thing we can do here is we can say, hey, we added defaults to swappy.service.ts. And then with our README, we can also stage this. And we can just say, hey, we completed step 2. Now we can push that, right? And so now if we go take a look at our GitHub, right, and we swap, no, we want to stay on the main branch because we want to be looking at our README. Nope, we don't. We don't. We want to swap over to our README branch, right? Because this is the branch we're going to merge back into main. But now if we look at the README, we've got the getting started. We've got our workshop, right? We've got, how to set it up in step 1. Step two is, how do we add a resource? And right, we've got code, and I mean, we're being right with GitHub, they can copy this. Um, so we've got our RX resource here also. And um, task doesn't work. It's too small, but we've got our hint also. Um, hint also works. So let's go back. Look at our README. Um, so here, and I should have been able to see that right. Got that. Our hint isn't working. So let's go take a look. It might be tip, right? Let's take a look at the different things we can use. We've got note, tip, important, warning, and caution. Okay. And the other thing is it's not this way. The exclamation point goes before it, right? Very similar to what we did with hint over here. Um, or with the note, right? Now our tip shows up there. Let's go ahead and commit that. Where we fix some formatting. Go ahead and push this. And this is like the non-glorious part of content creation, right? Um, the behind the scenes stuff that people don't often talk about. Um, okay, so if I refresh this, did I push? We've got that our task. With this fixing of formatting, we cut that down to 3. Oh, and I've got the tip on the wrong end. I didn't commit the actual fixes, did I? I guess you can only go 2 levels deep. Or is it that I'm right up against it? Um, I'm right up against it. And that's one of the frustrating things about there we go. So 3 looks to be okay. We're using 2 here, right? Step 2, no. Let's make everything just a little bit bigger. Step 2, and now our task looks appropriately sized. Step 2 and step 1 stand out. Did I make step 2 too big? Nope, the right size. Okay, so there we go. So now we've got our tips and everything in place. Let's go ahead and commit another format fix, right? Hello. There we go. More formatting changes. Let's push that. Right? So to get to this next step, step 3. Um, so here we can now add in step 3, right? And we'll figure out what step 3 is. Step 3. So step 1 is clone the workshop project. Step 2 is just to get it working. Step 3 is make the hire and skip buttons work. That'll be the next step, right? And this will probably be um, where we wind up ending the well, maybe not, right? We'll see how much content we have. Um, we're going to be judging, like, how much content there is. Um, and based on how people move through this too, right? And how many are participating and things like that. So here's the next step. We're going to go here, and actually we want to grab from our Merc choice component, we're just going to grab this component again. So copy this. And let's see what we have in here. We've got the swappy service. We've got the Merc service. What does the Merc service do? Okay. So we'll use the Merc service later. This is the service that just provides um, the randomized movement, right? So the swappy service. So yeah, we don't need the Merc service yet. But let's go over here and we're going to paste in our Merc choice component. So we have a couple of things that are still broken, right? The Merc service and the team resource. We'll go ahead and take those out again. So the Merc and the team resource and that. And next Merc, again, this is just going to be console.log, next Merc, right? And here we're just going to console.log, hire Merc, right? And this is our service with the swappy service in place, right? So the current Merc can be based on the person service, right? And we can throw the person ID at it. So we need to call out that we added the person ID. We need to call out that we added the person resource, right? Um, so we'll add some stuff to show what changes we made, and then um, we'll move on. So this is our service as it stands with right, we're getting Luke Skywalker, and we can show some stuff off here, right? Still nothing happens, but we're getting we've got somebody in there. We've got a loading experience, right? If we refresh, we can see that we're loading and things like that. So we're in a good place. Um, so where do we go from here, right? We want to make the skip Merc button work and the hire Merc button, move between random people. But let's start first by taking a look at the changes. So here, if we look at our diff, and that's the wrong diff. This is the diff we want to take a look at. So let's call some things out, right? So the first thing we want to call out is that we added a control flow structure using if to show something if we're loading, right? Um, so in our README, we can just be like, you know, um, oh, look at that. We've got a bit of a silly thing going on here. There we go. So here, let's do, and let's see if there's like an info type that we can use, right, to show what we changed. There's a note, there's an important, a warning, and a caution. We'll use the note. So again, we'll use a note. And let's say, let's review what we changed, right? First, we added a loading experience using at if. Um, using the flow control statement at if, right? And then here we can, yep, it should be HTML. Boom. And we don't want this. So our HTML, we're going to paste this in. And there we go. Let's see if, does it really? It does. Interesting. And we will also just use the typical dot, dot, dot to show more code here, right? Or you can say, no, that doesn't work. Dot, 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 right? So there we go. I want to push this really quick because I want to check like how if the way it's rendering here is right. So let's go ahead and stage this and added section or step 3 and added um, did I do this right? Step 2. So it's workshop step 2, which is all of this stuff. Now we need to branch and do step 3. So now we can branch and just say workshop. Right? Because step 1 ends here. Step 2 is here. Step 3, we're still on workshop step 2 at this point. Step 3 should be everything past here. So, yep, workshop step 3. And here we'll commit this. Um, so added resource and loading, right? We'll push that. Um, and then the other thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to make sure that the formatting worked. So added step 3 and added review, right? So let's push that. Um, and so now we can go take a look at our repository. Got some notes. We've got our tip. And here's our review, and it is the right way. So that looks okay. Um, right. So the next thing that we did, if we take a look here, nope. Um, the next thing we did after that is that we added in the service and some resources. Um, so um, we can say that after that, we also added resources to the class, right? And here we're going to use TypeScript. Yep. We're going to paste that. There's that. Oops. So we want that, that. We do want spaces here. Boom. Right. And so now we can see, hey, we've added stuff to our class that allows us to work with our code and gets the current person. Um, so at this point, we can now talk about with a resource, right? Um, so with a resource, we can load a new we can load a new value by changing the signal that comes in. We can make the hire and skip buttons work by changing the person ID signal, right? So at this point, the task is to add to the click event of the hire button to change the person ID signal um, to a new value, and two, um, add code to the click event to change this. We included a class to give random IDs for people from the Star Wars API. It is called, and here we can go what's the name of that class? It is called the merc.service.ts. It is called merc.service.ts, and includes a function called get mercs, that returns an iterator. That returns an iterator. So get mercs that returns an iterator. It is an injectable service. I mean, we'll make injectable this way. It's an injectable service, so you can use it like a normal Angular service, right? So this is our tip. And we actually aren't going to provide any code here. We're going to let them do their own code, right? So we want to go and we want to grab the Merc service. So let's go ahead and copy over our Merc service. Here. So in our services, we're going to paste in our Merc service. And we're going to commit this, right? So here, I'm going to say that we added merc.service.ts, and we're going to push that. So there we go. And now, we're actually ready for step 4, which is crazy. So we can go ahead and save this. Oh, my puppy's taking a nap and she's making some really cute noises. Let's go ahead and commit this, and we'll also push this. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Here we go. So we added step 3. Commit that, and we will push it. So there we go. So let's go take a look at step 3 on the page. Refresh this and scroll down, and step 3, perfect. So right off the bat, we start off, this is what we changed in a note. And then with a resource, we can also load a new value by changing the signal that comes in. So we tell it to change the signal, right? Um, And step 4 will be making the hire button actually work with the hire resource. And then we'll gloss over the end. And I think that'll be an hour's worth of content, with questions and stuff at the end. So step 4 will be to make it all work. Um, so um, we're going to add step 4. Make it all work, right? Um, and that's where we'll stop here, but we need to make our application work up to this point, right? If we take a look at our application, it's still a bit broken. We haven't actually made our buttons work. Um, so let's go create step 4. Um, so we here added the Merc service, and that should have Merc service is part of step 3. Never mind. So we're ready to do step 4. So we can now do workshop step 4. And we're almost ready to test everything and just make sure it all works. So there are our branches. We'll be merging um, the README into everything. Um, Once it's done, and we're going to be adding some stuff to the README to be able to move between branches, and then we'll merge that. Read. Do we want to? Yeah, we will. We'll merge that README into all the different workshop steps. And that should be good. The workshop step 4. We need to get workshop step 4 working, right? So we need to get the buttons working, and then we can review what we did. So if we go back and we look at our Merc choice components, we're just basically going to make the next Merc function work, right? Um, so to make the next Merc function work, we can just go over here. We can grab our Merc choice components. And we're going to make next Merc work. So we're going to copy this over. So there's that code, but now we need the Merc order service. And so we'll go back and we'll grab that also. We need the Merc order. And so we can add in our Merc order, which means we also need the Merc service. And we'll grab that also. There we go. So that should make everything work. So now if we skip, yep, we get our loading experience, right? And we move through our list, and it loads up random people. So we're good there. So Um, yeah, we'll commit this. Um, so buttons move through resources. Buttons move through random people, right? Um, and we'll commit this. One thing I think we should do is let's go um, back here and in our README, we want to make sure because right now, um, this doesn't make sense. Really, what we want to do is this should be we want to make the next Merc work, right? So make the next Merc function work is really what we should do. So add code to next Merc handler of Merc choice um, component ts um, to get a random mercenary when it is called. Um, get a random mercenary from the Star Wars API when it is called, right? Um, and in doing that, right, we get the skip merc and the hire working, but hire doesn't really work um, because we aren't adding to the resource that we created yesterday. So make it all work, right? Um, so again, we are going to start out with a note, and our note is going to basically be the same thing that we did up here, right? Right. Um, let's review what we changed, right? Um, let's review what we changed. Um, we added code to, or we added the, probably be better to just look here, right? So we added the Merc service and Merc order. So we added the Merc service and the Merc order. So we added the Merc service and iterator to our component, right? And here we can add our TypeScript and we can copy this over. That's not what we want. We want this and we want these. Um, right? And then we can say then we added code to next Merc to use the service to update our resource. And we'll add some more TypeScript code. So we're going to add the whole function itself. So boom. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. And let's make sure that we close that off. So there we are. We can now commit this. So here we added step 4 in our review. Added step 4 in our review. We'll commit that and we'll push that. And now if we go take a look, and we refresh this, if we scroll down, so we can see, right, we've got our step 4, we've got our review, we've got our step 3. So step 4, we need to add some stuff, right? I don't think we'll have time to go over the resource for step 4. So we'll just talk about it, right? So we added a special resource to the project to allow interactions with the list of hired mercs. This resource isn't based on HTTP or observables, and is an example of how you can create resources to manage state in your application. Absolutely. The resource is located in, and it's definitely not in mercservice.ts. It is in team.ng.ts, right? So it is located in services/team.ng.ts. We can use this service to add mercs to the team. The remove function is part of the other component. So the task is make the hire button work by adding a merc to the team using the team resource in merc choice component.ts. Perfect. And that is where it will end. So we'll go over the resource itself to just show people how it works, but let's go ahead and copy this and let's bring it over to our step 4. So paste it here. So yeah, we can add it. I don't care. There's our team NG, right? This is the piece that makes everything work. Um, and at this point, um, we don't need to do anything else because we can check out the main branch and review how we did things on the main branch, right? Um, so this all looks good. Our Merc choice component is here. Oh, we need to make some changes because we intentionally broke one of the components and it won't work, right? Like we do need to make some changes to the Merc list. Let's copy this over um, and let's paste it here. And this should work now because now all the services are in place and we're good to go. Hey, Akila, I haven't seen you in a very long time. Thanks for joining the stream. Very cool to see you. We're just getting to the point where we're going to be testing out our workshop and make sure it all works. Um, but there we go. So we've got our Merc listing. So in our Merc choice, component, we could add in the same code we've got here. Um, so right, if we just grab this and we bring it over, then we need to import it. And then if we go over and we also grab this code and we bring it over here, then everything should work. And that's the last piece I want to test. So there we go. So now if we go and we take a look at our application and we refresh, when we skip, we skip. If we hire, we are now hiring. We can remove people. We can hire Palpatine. Vader and Palpatine seems like a good team. So yeah, right. If we pay for it, boom, right. And we can skip our stuff. We're always going to skip Jar Jar, especially for nearly 1,000,000 credits. Heck yeah, we're skipping Jar Jar. Watto is a slave trader. We're not going to hire him, right? R2 always, right? 3PO always, um, and Luke. Hey, this is kind of the dream team, right? These guys brought down the Death Star. Um, so yeah, 2.2 million credits seems like a good team. So right, we can hire them, and our application works. So we're in a very good place, and we're ready for right our workshop tonight. Um, so let's go and just make sure that we've got everything committed. We don't want to commit the stuff we just made here. Um, so let's bring that over. But like this team resource that we brought in, um, we should add a tip about using the add team member of the team resource. Um, right. Um, let's go ahead and do that. But the rest of the stuff we can just ignore. So we can get rid of that. But brought in code for step 4. And there we go. And now we're all the way up through step 4. So if we can run our test, we can revert this and discard these changes. Boom. And the last thing we want to do is just make sure that we add our tip. Add our tip to our README. And our tip is going to refer to, you can use the add team member of the team resource to add a team member to the list. So here, it's going to add a tip, and you can use the add team member of the team resource to add a merc to the team. Perfect. Boom. And so there we go. Let's go ahead and commit this and push it. So here we added information about how to add team, right? And then tonight we will make sure that we go over the extra resource, right? Because it is a special resource, but we've got a limited amount of time, right? We've got to cram a whole bunch of stuff into an hour. People are going to be coding, we're going to be waiting, and just stuff like that. So let's go ahead and push this. And let's go ahead and push to main. Why is main behind? We push this. We're going to now merge this one to main, right? So we'll go ahead and compare and pull request. What we just did. Go ahead and create the pull request. This should all be README stuff, right? Oh, wait. Oh, no. Good thing I checked this out. Let's close this pull request. We definitely don't want this pull request. Let's go back to our pull requests. And task readme is the one we want. We don't want any of the other ones pulled in. So task readme has just changes to the readme file, right? So we should only see the readme file here, and then we should see we added the default value to our services, but our readme file should be largely changed, right? We've added a whole bunch of information here. Just a ton of information about service. Great. Create this pull request. And this is why I like to make sure that I review, my commits and my files changed before, I merge a pull request, or even before I send that pull request to other people. I want to make sure that everything looks good, especially where I'm doing something like, hey, we're going to bypass all the rules because, I have all the power and I can do stuff like that. So there we go. We've now merged our README stuff in. So now if we go back to the code, are we on a branch right now? We're on the main branch, and we can see that our README file has everything in it that we want. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Um, so it's time to see if we can follow our own workshop, right? Um, so let's do that. Um, first thing we can do is we can copy this. Um, let's go here and we'll exit out of this. Um, so here, let's so for the meetup workshop, we're actually going to remove this one. And so this is the other cool thing we can do is we can go over to this branch, right? And I can do get work tree list, and you can see that I've still got my work tree workshop. Well, let's go ahead and remove that, right? So get work tree remove, um, and we can say, hey, we want to get rid of workshop step 4. Right? So we can use this or we could use this. I typically use the branch name is not a working tree. Oh, yeah, you're right. It is meetup dash workshop. I believe that's what we called it. Yeah. So now it's going in and it's removing all of the workshop stuff, right? So we're gonna have the one folder will be just our completed project with the entire README file in it. The other will be we're going to go and check things out and um, oh, you know why it can't delete that folder? Because I have it open here. And we have it open here. Um, so now let's go and um, and now we can prune our work tree. We should be good. So if we go here, there should be yeah, so if we look in here, this folder is pretty much empty. Um, so we can remove the directory meetup workshop um, to all. I'll clean it up later. Um, but I had it open in a couple of different places, and because it was open, it caused issues, right? Um, anyway, Cello Floss. Hey, good morning. It's good to have our Aussie friends joining us. Good to see you. Um, but yeah, we're in a good space, right? So let's go and test this out, right? So let's pull open our our workshop and let's follow it, right? So um, within our workshop, we need to run this git clone command. So let's go do that. Let's paste that and see if we can clone our branch and everything looks good. Um, so the next thing we need to do is we need to run this npm install. Great, let's run the npm install. Um, so there we go. We're installing everything with our legacy peer deps. Oh, no, we're not because we need to go into our resource workshop before we run that command, I always get ahead of myself, right? I just keep going so fast. And it's gonna look scary um because we're using the pre-release version of Angular with NX. NX is like, no, 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 you can't use 19.2 yet. Well, guess what, NX? Yes, we can. Um, so we're in a good place. We're okay. And we've even added this note, right? That hey, because we're using 19.2 with the NX CLI and the NX CLI doesn't like the pre-release version, you have to use legacy peer deps. So that's what we're doing here. Um, so while this installs, we'll probably make some jokes and do stuff like that, answer some questions, who knows what, right? We're going to give everybody time for this step. Because it could take some time, right? Everybody, it takes a little while to run your npm stuff. Um, which is why maybe I should have used pnpm, but I didn't want to complicate things and take things away from the focus on resource, right? I didn't want to talk about tooling and things like that. I want it to be focused entirely on resource, right? And so I don't think I'm going to create slides because I think we're just going to use the we're going to use the README because I think the README is in a good place where we can we can talk about, hey, resources have required things and they have an optional thing, right? Same thing with the RX resource, and we can talk about using them and things like that. And then we've got tips and things here. Um, and then we're going to cheat as we go through here, right? Because you know that the person who put together the workshop, they they're always prepared to cheat, right? You see it all the time. They usually have like sometimes they'll have like code snippets prepared or things like that. I don't want to take the time to do that. I'm just going to jump between each of the branches, right? Um, this is taking some time. And that's always frustrating when npm takes time because this is taking time away from people who want to learn about resource. Um, so I will probably have this all checked out and let people run the npm themselves. Um, but you'll see that even by me removing that work tree, we still have our branches, right? So we've got our workshop branch here. Uh-oh. Oh no. Let's see what we get. So there we go. Let's go back to our GitHub. And let's run the npx serve, right? The nx serve. So let's go ahead and paste that in. And here we're going to go into resource workshop so that we can swap branches as we need to. So our serve should be working, and it did. So now we can pull up our typical Angular project. So let's it looks like we're okay, right? Um, and I think we're okay because step one, let's take a look at let's take a look at the tree and see what the difference is. I think we're okay because workshop step one adds that in. Edit step two. Oh, this is workshop here. So the beginning of step one, or step one is just checking all of this out. Oh, this is my tag. That's why it's that's why it's messing me up. Um, we're gonna delete this tag, and we're gonna delete the tag locally. There we go. Never mind. That was a tag. So workshops here. Workshop step two will be where we go after. But with workshop step one, everything seems to be okay. We'll be able to talk about stuff here. And then I can just get chain or get swap, right? Switch. Switch is the one I want. Switch. And then I can go to workshop step two. Get check out workshop step two. Right here. Is it get branch? I only have the workshop branch. Oh, I need to get checkout or get switch origin slash workshop step two. Is that not the command? Um, Control Shift Enter. Step two is not there. So get branch dash R. Is now step two there? Um, Three is there, but why isn't workshop step two? Workshop step three, get pull. Did I accidentally delete two? These are my local branches. My remote branch, it shows there's a workshop step two. Um, but it's not listing it here. Let's try get pull here. Um, you know what? I don't want natural language at this point. I get pull. There we go. So now I should be able to get switch over to workshop step 2. There we go. Now we're in a good place. So now it should have rebuilt. So if we go take a look, maybe it didn't pick it up. Let's try here. Get no npx nx serve. We are in resource workshop here. What did step 2 give us? Did I not commit the I look here, we've got the Merc service. And then if I look here, so we definitely added some stuff somewhere along the way, but so here we added in the swappy service and that has nothing in it. Here we added the resources. Um, but what we're missing, and we should check this out and paste it, right? Because if we take a look in step 2, create the resource and RX resource. Oh, never mind. So in step 1, we clone the resource. Step 2, add a resource. Um, yeah, so step 3, we did this. So we're missing some stuff in step 2. And I think it's because I reverted. Um, so we've got, let's go ahead and we will open a repo. And we're going to open up um, the resource workshop. And we should be on step 2 here. So in step 2, we want to add some stuff like added resource and loading. Okay, so step 2. Yeah, okay, step 2 does do this. right? So step one is basically check everything out. The start of step two actually gives us all of this stuff, um, which doesn't matter really. But step two is to create the resource, clone it. Okay. Step three. So we're still in a good place here. We're just a little bit ahead with step two. Um, are we ahead? Oh, we're at the end of this, right? Once we checked out step two, um, so when we check it out, we finished the workshop, right? So here, no, we haven't. We're on step two. We're ready to add stuff, right? Step three, when we check out step three, so let's go check out step three. Um, Step three is going to rebuild. And once step three is in place, now um, we're loading Luke Skywalker, but the buttons don't work, right? And we've got the loading stuff in place. So at the start of step three, we're going to make the buttons work perfect. I confused myself, but luckily I built it right. Um, and then here we can get switch to workshop step four, which is the last. Um, and here we rebuilt. So now the buttons move to a new person, but they don't work. And we've got the code in place so that once the higher button is wired up, um, this will all work. And we're in a good place. So yeah, I confused myself, but I think we're in a good place. Um, I think, I mean, if you guys don't have any questions, I think this is where we'll end the stream. Um, we'll definitely tonight be going over we will be going over this team service here because this is a service that wraps a resource um, and provides state through that resource, right? So we can get the total cost of our team. And we've got these um, request types that we're using. We're passing in commands, right? So our resource, when we built it, um, we're getting in, the command that we want to use, and then our loader handles those commands and returns a promise based on those commands. Um, and then, right, we can get our team, we can add team members, delete team members, and fire them. But our resource is really driving everything behind the scenes and handling a whole bunch of stuff for us. Um, so um, this will be kind of, what we go over at the end of the stream. But yeah, very much looking forward to it. Another longer stream today at 3 hours. Thank you everybody for joining, and thank you people who we haven't seen a while for joining. Very cool. And you guys have a great rest of your day. We'll be looking forward to seeing you guys tonight. Go take a look. Do I have the Angular community meetup open anywhere? I don't. Let's open it up again, right? Angular community meetup. And let's put this into the chat for anybody who's interesting. So if you guys are interested in joining tonight, that's the link to the meetup group. And this is the event right here tonight at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So that winds up being about 6 hours from now. So in 6 hours from now, we'll be doing this workshop based on the stuff we just finished right now. Looks like we're at almost 200 people attending. Oh man, I'm glad we went through this. And I did all my stupid stuff on stream with you guys. Um, man, 200 people. That's going to be a good sized group. I'm excited for that. That actually, what's crazy is this year my Sunday streams have been hitting about this number of attendees, which is crazy to think about. Um, so very much looking forward to seeing you. Yeah, we'll see you there, Cello Floss. I look forward to it. Look forward to interacting with the team. Um, it'll be a lot of fun to see like Brooke and Chris Perko and I'm hoping like Giovanni and a lot of. I'm curious to see who the new faces are on the meetup team. So very excited for that. Make sure you go join the meetup. And if you can't make it, like I understand, like a lot of our um, Africa, Middle East, and European viewers, 6 hours from now is pretty late for you guys. If you guys can't make it, I know it'll be recorded. I'll share the recording as soon as I have a link for it. Um, so looking forward to that. You guys have a great rest of your day, and for everybody who joins tonight, um, see you there. I'm ready to joke and just be like, hey, if you were in the stream today and you joined tonight, put a pizza emoji in the chat when you join. Um, an old callback to the pizza emoji that crashed ngconf. Let's. I don't think 200 people will crash the thing, but yeah, put a pizza emoji in the chat and make sure to say hi to you, right? Like a little inside joke to the people who were um, maybe people will pick up on the pizza emoji. Maybe we should do a different emoji. That's a good thing. Maybe a Twitch emoji. I don't know. A YouTube emoji. I don't know. You know, throw an emoji in the chat. I'll say hi. Um, you know, give me a little special thumbs up that hey, I was at your stream today. Um, and look forward to seeing you guys tonight if you can be there. Um, have a great rest.